I wanted to ask you about a different CGP, which is concentration, grit, persistence. What do those words mean to you in the context of your work?
That's three qualities that you need to have if you want to be any good at anything. You know, you definitely need, mister, you got to have grit. That's for sure. You know, my sister, I can remember my sister, God rest her soul, saying to me, you better grow the hide of a rhinoceros if you're going to travel around the world. And if you're going to take your music to new audiences, you better grow the hide of a rhinoceros. And she was right. But, you know, the way that Australians are perceived around the world. And, you know, Australians, in general, we are citizens of the world. Everywhere I go, I meet Aussies. You know, when I used to play in like Belgrade and places like Serbia and Hungary and all that, the local, you know, Australian ambassador to that country would put on a barbecue and they'd have Vegemite sandwiches and, you know, and it was just beautiful. And they come to the show and I would sing I Still Call Australia Home and stuff like that, you know, and everybody'd cry. And it's a funny thing about that song, you know, it makes me cry every time I hear Peter Allen sing that song, because Peter Allen's voice does something to me. You know, it's the same as when I hear him sing, time is a traveler, tend to feel sadder, turn your head. You know, when I hear that, it really, it chokes me up, you know, because he was one guy that, you know, defied the odds and took his talent where it needed to go and showed us the way in so many instances, you know.
Concentration, grit, persistence, those come to mind listening to you and watching you perform in the last couple of weeks, knowing that we would be speaking, because you make playing guitar look effortless, but I have been learning to play guitar since I was 16, more than half my life. And I know that it is actually effortful to make a guitar sound good and to play notes cleanly. What would you say to someone like me? What would you say to someone like me or someone who might read this article, a casual player with a desire to get better, to stay the course with their instrument rather than get discouraged?
Yeah, that's persistence is something that you're going to have to dig deep for, and it's going to have to, you know, you can't quit on this. If you quit on it, you fail. Only people who quit fail, you know. The thing, like when I was trying to work out how to play Day Tripper, for instance, I knew what I wanted to do. I just didn't know how to do it. And I had to try and figure it out, you know, and it was so hard, you know, when you're starting from scratch. When I look at it now, it all makes sense and my hands can do it because I've been doing it a long time. But to get, you know, in order to get all those notes and get all those Beatles harmonies, I had to do stuff like this. I'll show you.
Yeah, do you mind sitting back a bit further from the camera so that you're fully in shot? Yeah, that's good. So that your face is in shot too.
Oh, I don't think I can do that. So I had to make my thumb stay up here and do that with my fingers. Look how far that is. If I'm going to get those notes, I had to make my hand do that, you know. And then when I play the famous hook, I wanted to go and spell out the time with like the right hand on the piano. So I got. Yeah, so you can see that I have to make my hands be a contortionist when I'm playing that, but it's all about getting the melody and the chords and everything to all just be right, you know?
There's such an unnatural hand position all the way through that. Like think about all the hours that you put into learning that particular phrase, those passages. But you're the first person in history to have put your hands in those particular configurations because you made that arrangement up. Have you ever thought about that? You're the original originator.
Well, there's quite a few of my songs and my arrangements that people like in Japan and China who have smaller hands, they try to find other ways of doing it because there's no way their hand's going to make it, you know. And I just over the years, look, I've got two thumbs. One is completely like that, you know, like that, and this one is straight like a finger. And that's from, I think from this one does this one does all different stuff, including going over the top, you know. Like when I play a tune like a Mel Travis tune, I use the particular shapes that are unusual and you need to have your hand over the top. Like for instance, here's an E7th. Right? It's a fistful of chord, isn't it? And that yeah. So, you know, it's, I basically make my hands do what I need them to do. And I practice it and push it until it becomes natural.
Hmm. Well, everything you put out in public, from the records to the videos to the concerts you perform, is incredibly polished. But behind the scenes, could we ever find Tommy Emmanuel hitting the wrong notes and swearing up a storm, frustrated at his fingers for failing him?
Well, I try not to get too frustrated and swear too much, but I've had a lot of practice at that. But when people often ask me, you know, well, what do you practice? Do you do scales and then modes and then blah, blah? I said, no, I don't do any of that stuff. I play songs, you know, and if I need to work my muscles and everything, if I need to get my motor running, I play tunes over and over, and I'll go from one to the other and just keep my motor running. You know, this morning I played for about half an hour between interviews I was doing here, and you know, I kind of felt a little like, oh, I can tell that I haven't done a show in about a week, so you know, my forearms were feeling a little stiff, but second song in, I felt it all just start to release. You know what I mean? And now I feel like totally, I could walk on stage and play a show right now, you know?
In the context of what we were just discussing around Hope Street or Day Tripper or Lady Madonna or perhaps another song from your Beatles medley, is there an aspect of music that you think is commonly misunderstood or underappreciated that you would like to highlight for our readers?
Well, it's misunderstood. Yeah. Probably because, you know, some people see that, this guy plays a lot faster than that guy, so he's obviously better, you know, and that's got nothing to do with it, you know. And most of the players that are really, really good, and most of the writers who are really, really good, are not interested in who does what better. You know, they're interested in writing and playing the best that they can. And so, you know, when someone asks me what's your best piece, you know, it's normally something that's real simple that was so hard to write because it's so simple, you know. Let me grab a capo and I'll show you. There's a song I wrote, and I had a dream about an old soldier And of course, in Australia, we use the term digger. And so in my dream, this old digger was getting ready to go out on Anzac Day, getting ready to go out on parade, and he was, yeah, well, he was putting his hat on and gave himself a bit of a salute. And as he did that, he turned around and his wife appeared to him, and they looked at each other, and then he held his hands out like that, and she came over and they danced together. And that was my dream. And I wrote this song, The Digger's Waltz. A lot of people love this song, and it's super duper simple, but it gets the message across. So I'm going to play it for you like this. There we go. So it starts with. And now they start to dance. So, you know, I couldn't have written something like that if I hadn't listened a lot to people like James Taylor and Carole King and Stevie Wonder, Don McLean, you know, people who wrote songs that had beautiful depth and everything, but had a way of the story just unfolding like this. It's a beautiful style.
Well, your use of natural harmonics is phenomenal. It's a sound that's instantly identifiable to guitar players, but the average listener might not know how that sound is made. Can you explain how natural harmonics work and how you use them in your playing?
Okay. Well, the sound you're talking about is this. I'll show you what you mean. You're talking about, right? That's and it's a sound that I first heard on a Chet Atkins record. He was the first person to make that kind of sound on a record, and it was he did it in a song called I think it was called Chinatown, My Chinatown, something like that. And it was about 1950, so it was a long time ago. And I heard that sound. I heard several tracks of him doing it, and I couldn't figure it out. And what it is it's a combination of harmonics and natural notes. And I'll show you what I mean. So I'm going to take a shape like this. That's a D ninth chord. And what I'm going to do is with my third finger, I'm going to play a note. And with my thumb, I'm going to pick the harmonics. So they're the harmonics played up the octave, right? So now I'm going to start by playing the fourth string. Now I'm going to go to the sixth, third, fifth, second, fourth, first, third. So let me do that without speaking. Here we go. Now, if I want to make it longer, I can play some extra notes here and go. So now I've got like 12 notes out of six strings. So that shape there, I'm doubling. Right. So basically, it's a combination of natural notes and harmonics together, and they ring together, and it's how you do it that fools our ear. You know, if you're doing it right, you shouldn't quite know which one is the harmonic and which one is the natural note if you're doing it right, you know. So some songs I use that technique in, like for instance, in my version of the Beatles song Michelle, I start with this sound here. Michelle. So you can hear I'm playing the melody, Michelle, and then I'm kind of filling in around and creating this kind of beautiful underbelly of the song, and using harmonics as the melody, and then clusters as little harmony things like. That kind of sound, you know, and then I'm going. And they're just the open harmonics that are on the 12th fret and the 7th fret. Then I go. What I'm doing there to get that harp sound is I'm playing a harmonic. Second note is there. Third note is pull off with my little, so you get, see that? The thing that people don't tell you about, but I'm going to tell you, is that if you start doing this, first of all, it's beautiful and everything, but it's so hard to do well because there has to be a real clarity between what you're fretting and what you're playing. There has to be a clarity. And you know what happens? Your left hand is going to ache like hell because you're holding positions for a long period of time and holding strings down to get clarity, right? And to get notes to ring against one another, like this, for instance, like this. You're right. Let me just put that back there. Yeah. This hand hasn't moved. It's stayed there, right? So I've got to hold that with look at that muscle sticking out, you know. I got to be, you know, you got to be Olympic Games here in this. You got to be trained, you know, and you got to do it and you got to play it 1,000 times, you know. And then there are other songs that are terrifying to play for the first or second time on stage, because the other thing that people don't realize is that when I'm up there on stage, I may as well be naked because everything is exposed. I don't have any drums, keyboards, vocals, and bass to hide behind or stand beside. It's all me and nothing else. So every millisecond and every detail must be right, right? So I have an arrangement of a beautiful song called Secret Love. And I practiced it and played it through an amp. And then I played it at sound check. And then I played it acoustically. And then I practiced it again. I played it for a few people before I found the courage to just step out, you know, like on the end of the diving board and dive off. And so the reason is this, I'll play a bit of it for you and you'll see that there's a lot of stuff to be dealing with. So and there's a key change in the whole thing in that, but it's, you know, that's a different kind of use of the harmonic, but it's all over the song. And if you miss one or one doesn't ring through, then it's like, you know, it sticks out like crazy. Because the thing is that, you know, right here, I'm just playing through my little amp down here. But when I'm playing in a concert hall and it's big and the sound, everything is amplified so big. So it's got to be right.
Just going back to the idea of arranging an entire song, thinking of it as a band, but playing it all on one guitar. Can you show me how you approached Lady Madonna, which is like a piano-led song that really distinguished me?
Okay. Lady Madonna, which is an incredible Lennon and McCartney song. I wanted to play the piano part and the singing part at the same time, and then I had to set up like a groove. So this is what I did. So the piano part is right, and then the singing part is. So what you can hear going on there is you got. So there's the downbeat and the groovy piano player playing away, right? And then you got the singer on top. Right, and I never lose track of that. Still, the most important thing is that the vocal part is right. Now, let me say something that is really important about this, that a lot of people don't realize, is that when you're learning something as complicated as that, right, it's not music yet. You're learning new skills. That's what it is. And when you work out all this difficult stuff, and you know that everything is right, but you're fumbling your way through it, but you know it's right, then you just switch to practicing it, right? So, and you keep playing it and practicing it and playing it and practicing it until the music shows up, and you stop thinking about all the skill of what you're doing. Forget the skill now and listen to the melody, and pour your energy in and your feeling into the melody. So I play the song for you now. I'm not thinking anything about the technical side of what I'm doing. I'm only thinking, how do I want to make it feel right now, this minute? You know what I mean? Lady, do I want to go, Lady Madonna, children at your feet? Or do I want to go, Lady Madonna, children at your feet? Do I want to move the singer around? Do I want him to go, children at your feet? You know what I mean? So that's how I'm thinking when I'm playing that song for you right now, you know, and I want the drummer to, you know, that's what makes people groove, and you see them tapping their foot. When I hit a groove like that, people just light up and they're like, oh, you know, they lose it. And I try to put in little things that just make it interesting, like a kind of Ray Charles piano-y. Like that. So I still maintain the hook and the melody and all that right, but I like to put in my own little things, you know. And oh, it's so much fun doing all that stuff. But you have to put the work in first, then it becomes fun. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you need, musicians need repetition, and nobody else likes it. So don't practice in front of anybody, particularly your family. They'll throw you out. But find a place where you're on your own and you're not going to bother people. You know, I've got my door open there, so my neighbors are probably going to say to me, what was that song you were playing?